If you're shooting a ton of ammunition, that means you're going to load a ton of ammunition. And if you need to load a ton of ammunition, that means you need a progressive reloading press. Gavin here from UltimateReloader.com. This is it, the biggest, baddest reloading press comparison you're ever going to see. This is the Ultimate Reloader Progressive Press Shootout. It all started for me with Progressive Press videos way back in the day in 2007. Fast forward to today, we've got an insane comparison here of these reloading presses. We've got 12 presses. These are all of the commonly available reloading presses on the market today. We're going to go brand by brand and break down features, specs, pros, cons, total cost of ownership. This video resource is going to provide you everything you're going to need to make an educated decision on a progressive press system, because that's what they are. You're buying into a system. It's a very complex problem domain, consumer domain, and there's a lot of information to evaluate before you buy into that system. What we will not cover is the evaluation of the ammunition coming off of these presses. I did that for my 14 single stage press comparison. I did not have a level playing field. I don't have cartridge setups across the board here, and it's not going to be the same apples to apples comparison it would be for the single stage presses. So we're not going to do that, and we're also not going to cover obsolete presses and presses that are no longer on the market, although there will be some mentions for the lineage of each product line. Also, a special thanks to Mid-South Shooter Supply. A lot of these presses are available from them, midsouthshootersupply.com. Okay, notes and considerations about this whole video and article. Click on that first link in the video description. It's going to be a very comprehensive, multi-page article. Use the chapter markers in this video. If you want to jump straight to a brand or straight to a particular press, you don't have to watch the whole video. We've got markers there. Also, check the video description and the accompanying article for corrections and updates. There will be many. I've done my best to get all the facts straight, all the costs finalized. Those things change. There will be some errors, and I will have a summary of corrections in the article, and the video description will point to that as well. The article will have more detailed information and data. I have pages and pages and pages of spreadsheet data around costs and features, comparison data, that kind of thing. There will be product links in the accompanying article as well. Your mileage will vary with these presses and these different brands of reloading equipment. I have my own experiences with them. I've listened to all of the experiences that you all have shared here on the channel. I've done my best, but your experiences will be a little bit different. Also, your cost will vary. I've broken down things by bare bones, 1 pistol caliber with case feed, 1 pistol, 1 rifle with case feed, and 2 pistol, 2 rifle with case feed to kind of create a apples to apples comparison as best I can of what the total cost of ownership is for each of these presses. But based on the cartridges that you're loading, for instance, if you have your 1 short rifle case and 1 long rifle case, you might need 2 different case feed plates for your case feeder. Those costs will vary, but this will give you a good tool to analyze what those costs will be, at least in a general sense. Also, I have separate detailed stories, videos, and articles for many of these presses, quite a few that you're going to want to check out here on YouTube and on UltimateReloader.com. You're going to want to check out those, unboxing, everything that's included, setup, loading pistol, loading rifle. We've got a ton of great stories. So let's kick off this Progressive Press Shootout brand by brand. It's time to talk about Hornady. Hornady currently offers 1 progressive reloading press. That's this, the Lock-N-Load AP. The Lock-N-Load AP replaced a previous iteration of this press called the Projector. The Projector had screw-in dies, one of the biggest innovations with the Lock-N-Load AP, and really where this Lock-N-Load name comes from is the Lock-N-Load bushings that the die screws into, drop it in, 1/8 of a turn, it's locked. 1/8 of a turn, pull up on the die, it's unlocked. And the same, of course, for the powder measure, which makes it really easy to dump your powder when you're done reloading for the day. The Lock-N-Load AP in its base configuration comes pretty much like this. I've added a KMS squared UFO press light to this press. I think the biggest thing that sets the Lock-N-Load AP apart from its competitors is just the combination of great features for versatility. There is a retention spring that goes all the way around the circumference of the shell plate. It makes it really easy to get cartridges in and out of the press when you're doing things like checking your primer seating or adjusting your bullet seating depth and checking it with your calipers, or running up your powder charge and making minute adjustments. Case activated rotary drum powder measure. This is a really great unit. There is a system called the PTX expander that can be used where it's a powder through expanding system that frees up a station. It has 5 stations. Very, very good features on this press. The combination of the half indexing, half on the way up and then half on the way down, the circumferential spring, the Lock-N-Load bushings, the excellent powder measure make this a really great press. It has a slide bar priming system. It's a safe system. It isolates the priming area from the stack of primers, and that means you're not going to have a primer tube detonation. So let's talk features and specs. Manufacturer, Hornady Manufacturing, they've been around since 1949, and they've progressively continued to add to their lineup of product offerings over the years. They make great cases, they make great bullets, and they have great reloading equipment. Lock-N-Load AP stands for Auto Progressive. SKU is 95110. This press was introduced in '95, as I mentioned, as a successor to the Projector. 5 stations, max case length is 2.5 inches. This is notable because this is 30-06 capable. I have a ton of videos about the Lock-N-Load AP. Unboxing, overview, setup, loading rifle, including 30-06, 223, and others. This is a really flexible setup, and that extra length capacity means you can do just high volume reloading of everything up to those long action cartridges like 30-06. That's about the limit. Max cartridge length is 3.4 inches. 30-06 is specified at 3.340. So you have 60 thousandths extra above the spec for max cartridge length on 30-06. So if you're seating those bullets long, that's actually a meaningful number. The indexing is automatic, and it's half on the way up, half on the way down. Why is that important? Well, it does help to prevent things like powder spillage. If you've got a full index, there's more rotational speed involved. This is half up, half down. That just helps with that. Ram diameter is 2 inches. That is massive, and I mean massive. There's Zerk fittings on the press for maintenance. It's really set up for the long haul. The priming system comes with large and small priming drop tubes and sliders and punches. And the caliber changes overs on this press are very quick because of how the press is laid out. As I mentioned, the powder measure is case activated. It also does include a baffle. It has a high capacity and a nice slip-on cap. In terms of capacities, the priming system holds a standard 100 primers, which is good because that's how many come in a pack. Powder capacity is about 3/4 of a pound, and the case feeder holds 500 9mm cases, more or less. Again, if you overload these case feeders, sometimes you can actually slow down the output from them. Die stations. Now this press has a lot of different ways that you can run dies. Right here I have a 2-die plus powder measure setup. That's for 7.62 by 39. But depending on what you're running, if you want to run a powder check, if you want to run a bullet feeder, you can accommodate all of those setups, and there's various pros and cons. PTX expander gains you 1 more station for pistol calibers. So if you want to run a bullet drop and a powder check, and you want to combine seating and crimping, you can do that. A typical pistol setup, like what I'm showing here, is station number 1, size and deprime. Station number 2, prime on the bottom, case mouth expansion on the top. Station number 3, powder charge. Station number 4, bullet seat. And station number 5, bullet crimp. As I've stated multiple times in this video, I absolutely love to separate the bullet seat and the bullet crimp. It just makes your life a lot easier for the initial setup and for tweaking for different types of brass that are going to come through the press. So This press comes without the case feed system. It comes pretty much as pictured minus the light. And so I have MSRP price on one pistol caliber, bare bones, that includes one set of dies, would be $670.99. Street price of $566.85. I'll note that the press comes with a set of bushings. For additional calibers, instead of buying a tool head, you buy sets of bushings. If you're using all 5 stations, you need 5 bushings. If you're just going to add a rifle setup, you'll use probably 2 bushings unless you're crimping. If you've got a cannular bullet and you're loading 223, you're going to want 3 bushings, and you're going to want to get that taper crimp die for that setup. So one pistol caliber with the case feed system, got to add the case feeder, got to add a case feed plate, $1,196 MSRP, $1,051.41 street price. One pistol caliber, one rifle caliber with case feed would be $1,202.56 MSRP and $1,166.22 street price. 2 pistol calibers, 2 rifle calibers with case feed would be $1,421.65 MSRP, Hornady listed, and $14,03.04 street price. Summary: who is the Lock-N-Load for? This is for pistol and rifle reloading. I like loading both of them equally on this press. I think where it really shines is for someone that's switching from one caliber to another frequently. Costs are held down for caliber changes because there's not a whole lot of parts. The shell plates and the bushings are reasonably priced. And the way that the press is designed and set up, it just makes it easy to change calibers. It is not for commercial reloading. Commercial reloaders are built differently with different materials and different features, and that's not what this press is for. So pros: values, features, cost. Hornady hit it out of the park with that. The Lock-N-Load bushing system, absolutely love it. The indexing system is a plus. The awesome powder measure is a plus. Priming system works well, and the standard equipment list is solid. Cons: the case feed system. The case feed bowl is very loud, and sometimes there's this ramp here. The cases drop onto it and they get pushed in by a pusher. And what can happen is when they come down, they can bounce right off of the ramp here. So there are occasional feed issues that you'll encounter. They are overcomable, but unlike some other presses where you've got custom parts that are meant for each particular type of case and each type of cartridge, there's adjustments that need to be made here. So once you add a case feeder, you're adding to your caliber change over time, more so than some other presses. Some parts are corrosion prone. You're going to want to put some ballistol on them, or at least some WD-40, and wipe off the excess. Of course, not on the internal parts where powder is going to touch, those sorts of things. And also, by default, the completed cartridge bin bracket is really flimsy. Once you get a bunch in there, it starts to sag. If you put a larger bin on there, you're going to run into some issues. Here I'm using the Inline Fabrication Ultra Mount system with the bin bracket system. This really beefs things up, so that obviously addresses that particular issue. That's it for Hornady. RCBS currently offers 2 progressive presses, the ProChecker 5, which is a 5-station progressive reloading press, and the ProChecker 7, which is a 7-station progressive reloading press. These presses actually share the same frame, and if you want to upgrade your ProChecker 5 to a ProChecker 7, you can get the parts to do that. These presses are an evolution of and a replacement for the Pro 2000, which was RCBS's 5-station cast iron framed press with the APS strip priming system, a really unique setup. So the SKU for the ProChecker 5 is $889.10. The SKU for the ProChecker 7 is $889.11. Makes sense that they're sequential. These presses were introduced at the same time in 2015. Initially, there were some problems with the plastic transfer bar, which is an intentional design detail. It's a sacrificial part so that other things don't break. I actually worked with RCBS on testing and working through the improvements to that. Since those improvements, I haven't had any problems with the priming system. It actually works really good. I have called max case length not applicable on this because they don't have a fully featured case feed system. That's where that specification would come into play. Max cartridge length. This is an interesting one. We have 3.685 on the ProTrucker 5 and 3.860 on the 7. You'll notice that the 5 has a slightly longer allowable cartridge overall length, and that has to do with indexing and the related details. Also, these are in excess of the specified cartridge overall length for 30-06. Some of the presses that we're going to talk about in this story are limited to that 2.8 inches that the 308 Winchester is specified for. These are going to handle the 30-06 and actually cartridges slightly longer. The indexing is automatic. There's a lever arm that comes up through the bottom of the shell plates on these presses and indexes it. Frame construction is aluminum. They have a 1.5-inch diameter ram, which is very substantial. They have that transfer bar tube-fed priming system, which most of the presses have evolved to at this point. The powder measure is case activated. I will note that the ProTrucker 5 comes with a slightly smaller powder hopper. I've upgraded that on my 5 here. And that powder system works really well. These rotating drums I've had the best luck with in terms of consistent powder charges and reliable operation. They work really good. In terms of capacities, you've got a standard 100 primer capacity, which makes sense. Primers come packaged in packages of 100. And the stock powder hopper on the ProTrucker 5 holds a 1/2 pound. Again, this is the 1 pounder, which I've got both here. The 1 pounder comes standard on the ProTrucker 7. And I've listed the case feeder as not applicable. RCBS does sell the tube and the inserter, but they don't have a motorized collator. So if you wanted to put one together, you'd have to adapt another system or drop the cases in manually. Let's talk die stations. So for the ProTrucker 5, for both of these actually, I'm going to talk about pistol setups because they're the most involved typically. A rifle setup can be a subset of pistol setups, leaving some stations open, for example. So on the ProTrucker 5, this is from one of the stories here on Ultimate Reloader that you're going to want to check out. For all these presses, to get more information, we've got size D prime in station number 1, expander in station number 2, powder charge in station number 3, bullet feed or powder check in station number 4, and seat and crimp in station number 5. Of course, we have enough stations here where we could separate the seating and crimping, which I do like to do when possible. So, transitioning to the ProTrucker 7, yes, now we've got that capability. So here, in this particular setup, I've got the sizing and depriming in station number 1, expander in station number 2, powder charge in station number 3, powder check in station number 4. I've got a variety of systems that I've used on these presses. They each have their pros and cons. Bullet feed in station number 5, bullet seat in station number 6, and crimp in station number 7. This is nice because we can accommodate separate seating and crimping. We can accommodate bullet feed and powder check. That is totally an ideal setup. In terms of total cost of ownership, I've broken these down separately because the ProTrucker 7 does cost more. The case feeder is included in the respective columns here and the rows, but it is that simple tube-based system without a collator. So for the bare bones configuration, 1 pistol caliber, we've got an MSRP of just over $1,000 and a street price of just over $800. For 1 pistol caliber with case feed, it goes up to $1,223.75 and $998.29, knocking on the door of $1,000. 1 pistol caliber, 1 rifle caliber with that case feed system, $1,407.55 for the MSRP and $1,154.75 for the street price. 2 pistol calibers, 2 rifle calibers with case feed, $1,709.25 MSRP and $1,405.03 for the street price. So basically, when you go to the ProTrucker 7, the prices scale up proportionally. And where we top out here is the 2 pistol calibers, 2 rifle calibers with case feed. That's going to have an MSRP of just over $2,000 and a street price of $1,785.03. So at that point, when you've fully featured 2 pistol, 2 rifle calibers with that tube-based case feed system, no collator, you're at $300 more for the ProTrucker 7. I think it's worth it because that extra 2 stations comes in extra handy. So in summary, who are these presses for? Definitely people that want to load precision ammunition in volume. They do a great job cranking out quality ammunition. Who is it not for? The person that wants to do commercial ammunition production or someone that needs the fully featured case feed system turnkey. In terms of pros, I definitely like the operation of these presses. They've got great leverage, very smooth operation. Precision. As an experiment, this press here, the Pro Checker 7, is set up for 224 Valkyrie. I ran 10 cartridges through and I measured bullet seating depth consistency, and I had a standard deviation for those 10 cartridges of 1/1000th of an inch. So definitely good enough precision to load something like PRS competition ammo. Maybe not, bench rest ammunition, but that's not what these presses are for. The powder measure works really good. It's case activated. It's a rotating drum, which gives you great repeatability. I love the 1 pound hopper on the Pro Checker 7, hence upgrading the Pro Checker 5 as well. Quick caliber changes. You rotate the tool head, it pops out. Primer punch is really easy to get to. That's a huge advantage for this press because I hate cumbersome caliber changes. They just take a lot of time and they're a little bit frustrating. And then RCBS quality across the board. In terms of cons, there is no fully featured case feed system, as I've said a couple of times, and also the cost is a little bit higher given the features compared to some of the other presses that are on the market. In terms of upgrades here, I've also got the KMS squared UFO press light here on the 5. I'm going to probably install one on the 7 because I like them that much. These are both using the Inline Fabrication quick change ultra mount system. I've got the side bin system on the 5. Again, another thing I'm going to look at upgrading for the 7. There you go. RCBS Progressive presses in a nutshell. So let's talk Mark 7. If there is one company that's caused maximum disruption in the consumer reloading industry, the reloading industry period over the last 10 years, definitely Mark 7. About 8 years ago, some competitive shooters started the company. They were loading and shooting about 100,000 rounds per year between match competition ammo and match practice ammo. Nothing on the market at the time met the features or the price point. So they created Mark 7. And there's 2 Mark 7 presses currently on the market. Lots in the works, but 2 that you can actually buy. The Revolution, which is oriented towards commercial-only loading, and the Apex 10, which is really their prosumer machine. If you're loading a lot of ammo at home, if you're doing semi-commercial loading like boutique ammunition, I've thought about loading 6-dasher on this machine or 6.5 Creedmoor for competitive rifle shooters, for instance. This is a great option. The Apex 10 replaced the Evolution. I wanted to put both of these on the bench here because if you order an Apex 10 in base form, it's going to look more like this machine. It won't have the auto drive attached to it, and you're going to have the press handle here. They're very similar machines. Some changes that were made mostly centered around the priming system. The move from a slide bar priming system to a rotary shuttle. The frame was redesigned to have less tolerance stacking and lower cost to manufacture, and big improvements on the case feed system. I have a complete story outlining the differences between the two. For this lineup, we're going to focus squarely on the Apex 10 because it's the commercially available model that fits within this lineup, and it is at the very top of all of the presses in this Progressive Press Shootout. It's got the highest price point, it's got the most features, it's got the most quality, and it's got the most add-ons that are available. So let's walk through some of the specs. Mark 7 reloading, manufacturer, model, Apex 10, SKU 101-1260-XX-XX. There's 2 additional 2-digit numbers that are additional specifiers depending on options. Introduced in 2021 as a replacement to the Evolution. 10 stations, 1 used for case insertion. That leaves 9 die stations. The max case length is 308 and the max cartridge overall length is 2.800 inches, which is also 308 Winchester. So if you want to load 223, if you want to load 308, 6.5 Creedmoor, any of those cartridges, that's where this press is optimized for maximum capacity. Indexing is automatic at the top of the stroke. The Apex 10 has the cast aluminum frame, 1 3/4 inch ram, rotating shuttle priming system. I haven't seen another press currently on the market that uses this design. The powder measure is case activated, has really nice bearings. It's got a screen that prevents debris from getting in, like the little styrofoam seal at the top of the powder jug. If that comes off, it's going to get stopped before it goes down, which is awesome. It's got an integral baffle, really nice unit. The tool head is cast iron. The case feed has 110 and 240 volt options. It's got a metal bowl. It's got what I call a drain, a little back door that opens up where all of the cases can be emptied almost instantly. Variable speed, reverse button, inductive case sensing. This is absolutely top shelf stuff here. And what you see here is the available auto drive. So you can run the Apex 10 as a manual press with the handle. You can add the auto drive, which can propel this machine up to 3,500 rounds per hour, whether it be for case prep or for loading. It's totally awesome. And once you start seeing the ammo, piling up in the completed cartridge bin, you'll just be absolutely amazed. The auto drive also has available sensors. I've already started to film my series on this auto drive. I'm going to be adding additional videos covering individual sensors that can monitor different aspects of the process. The auto drive is one of the differentiators with Mark 7. They've got torque sense, which actively monitors the forces on the press and the torque in the motor. It can stop itself. It can alter the speed at various portions of the cycle to optimize for things like your powder drop. Very advanced system. There's also Primer Express, which is an oscillating primer feed system. You can dump in about 300 primers. They automatically feed into the machine. A great way to increase your productivity and reduce downtime. In terms of capacities, we've got a standard 100 primer capacity if you've got the tube system. We've got 1 pound of powder in the powder measure. We've got 500 9mm cases in the case feeder. You can actually put a bit more in, but sometimes the slots get covered and the output can be decreased just a little bit if you overload it like that. Let's talk die stations. Now, a note, if you're loading pistol, you are probably going to use all of the die stations. If you're loading rifle, you might not use every single die station. So pistol is the worst case scenario. It's where we've got everything at maximum capacity. And let me run through an optimal setup. Station number 1, case insertion, case feeding. Station number 2, sizing and depriming. Station number 3, swaging. Now this is a great capability. The press comes with swage rods for both small and large primer pockets. So if you've got military crimp 223 or 308, no worries. Send it through the machine. The swaging happens, gets rid of that primer pocket crimp, which is awesome. Okay, station number 4 is priming. Station number 5 is case mouth expansion if you're doing pistol. Station number 6 is the powder charge. That's where the powder measure lives. Station number 7, powder check. I've got a double Alpha Academy magnetic powder check here. It works great on this press. Then we've got bullet feed. I've got a Mr. Bullet feeder here. Does not come with the press, but is a great add-on. Then we've got the bullet seat and bullet crimp in stations number 9 and number 10. I really like this capability to separate bullet seat and crimp so that you can adjust each independently. If you have a different type of case, a case that went through with different case prep, a different head stamp, sometimes you need to make minute adjustments to the crimp, for instance, and you don't want to make an adjustment to the bullet seating. You can do that if you have separate dies. A lot of different options for you how you can set up your dies and set up all the stations. This is how I like to run pistol. Okay, so total cost of ownership. A note here. This might be the only press in this entire lineup where the MSRP price is the street price. There's no games. The price is the price. One pistol caliber, bare bones, is the same as one pistol caliber with case feed because the case feed system is included and the press comes ready to load one cartridge minus the dies. So for that single configuration for pistol, you're at $3484.90. if you add one rifle caliber into the mix, you're going to be at 43.91.45, and if you have two pistol and two rifle, you're going to be at 55.64.70. So, to summarize, what it's for high volume home loading. It's for light commercial loading. This is the prosumer category. What it's not for, full commercial loading, or for someone that wants simplicity and doesn't need all of the capabilities of a high-end prosumer machine. Pros, it is an end-to-end system. There is no other press in this category that has all of the different options. TorqueSense auto drive with sensors to monitor things like primers, bullet seating, and other factors that are important when you've got an auto-driven machine. The primer collator, the deluxe case feed system. This press has the most capabilities by far and offers the most versatility. Support. This is a US-based company. This press is made in the US. There are people on hand to help you. There are even training programs that are available. Quality. This machine is top quality. It's made in USA on USA CNC machines. This stuff is totally, if you can see it and if you can touch it, you'll understand. The quality is top notch. Cons, the only cons I could come up with are cost. This is going to be at the top of the price category for this entire lineup, and complexity. If you're just learning how to reload, this machine is likely to be overkill. You might want to start on a single stage or a turret or a simple progressive press. There it is. That's Mark 7. This is the fun part. It's time to cover the blue equipment. That's right, I'm talking about Dillon Precision. This is the most extensive lineup in the entire Progressive Press Shootout with 4 presses covered. We've got the Square Deal B. We've got the RL-550C. I will make a note that there is an RL-550 BL basic loader that is much like this press, but it doesn't come with a powder measure and it does not come with a fully featured priming system. We've got the XL-750 and we've got the RL-1100. In addition to the RL-1100, I have also shown the CP2000, which is a case prep progressive press, but it's not intended for loading, so it is not a part of this particular Progressive Press Shootout, but you will find more information about that on the channel. Let's start with the Square Deal B. The Square Deal B is, I think, the only press I have in the shop that is specifically geared towards pistol. It does not load rifle ammunition. It is optimized to be economical and to work optimally for pistol ammunition. The SKU is Dillon SDB. It was introduced in 1986. It has 4 stations, max case length of 1.28 inches, max cartridge length of 1.6 inches. Indexing is automatic. Frame construction is die-cast zinc alloy. The ram diameter is 1.4 by 1.4 inches. It's actually a square ram. It has a sliding bar priming system with the low primer warning. So every press in the shootout has the low primer warning system, which I think is really, really cool. It's a great feature to have. It'll save you a lot of angst of unprimed cases going through the press, powder falling out through the flash hole. Some of you know exactly what I'm talking about. The powder measure is also pretty much identical between all these machines. It's a sliding bar and it's case activated. This machine has a capacity of 100 primers, 3/4 pound of powder, and it does not have a case feeder. So, stations: number 1, sizing and depriming; number 2, powder charge and priming; number 3, bullet seating; number 4, bullet crimping. And in one pistol caliber, we have an MSRP. All these Dillon MSRPs and street prices are going to be the same. So the price for one pistol caliber is $585. For 2 pistol calibers, it's $730. For 4 pistol calibers, it's $1,020. This is the only total cost of ownership overview that does not include the 2 pistol and 2 rifle because there is no rifle configurations for the Square Deal B. What it's for, pistol reloading on a budget. This is going to be one of your best options for that if you want quality. What it's not for, rifle reloading or commercial loading, fully featured loading for that matter, with the case feeder and all the rest. So the pros are cost, quality, simplicity, and its pistol optimized stroke. The ram does not move as far. That means the handle doesn't move as far, and or the leverage is optimized accordingly. Cons, this is the only press in the entire lineup that uses its own proprietary dies because it's pistol only. There is no case feeder, and again, it's pistol only. Moving our way up to the RL-550C. This is the third iteration of this press. The SKU is 14261. The 550B was introduced in 1985. I'm not sure about the original model. And the RL-550C was introduced in 2012. It is a 4-station manually indexed progressive reloading press. So the advantage with the manual indexing is that you can get taller cartridges in there, and there's no interference with the indexing and long cartridge over lengths with partially seated bullets, placed bullets, that kind of thing. The downside with manual indexing is that if you're used to auto indexing, it can be a safety issue. This press, you're probably more likely to double charge, especially where you have powder capacity available to do so. An example would be a .357 Magnum with fast burning powder. But once you get into the swing of using the press and into the whole routine, it becomes second nature. And you should always do a visual powder check anyways, just something to be aware of. Max case length is 2.875 inches, which will accommodate 300 PRC. Max cartridge length is 3.72 inches, which is just over 300 PRC for reference. It is die-cast aluminum alloy. Ram diameter is 1.485, which is the same for the RL-550B, the XL-750, and the RL-1100, interestingly enough. It has a sliding bar priming system with low primer warning, and it has the case-activated powder measure with large and small bars. Holds 100 primers, 3/4 pound of powder, and the case feeder is listed as NA. This particular RL-550C has the Double Alpha Academy mini case feed system installed. Dillon also does offer one, but it's not standard, and it wasn't designed into the flow of the press in the way that the 750 or the RL-1100 has those case feeders integrated. Die stations, number 1, and this is again, all these are for pistol where possible because that is typically the more fully featured setup with things like separate crimping and case mouth expansion. 1, sizing, depriming, and priming. Priming is on the bottom. 2, powder charging and expansion. 3, bullet seating, and 4, bullet crimping. Total cost of ownership. 1 pistol caliber, bare bones, $744. 1 pistol caliber with case feed, if you're using the Dillon case feeder, $11.99. 1 pistol caliber, 1 rifle caliber with case feed, $16.38. And 2 of each, pistol and rifle with case feed, is $21.89. So what is it for? Precision progressive reloading, kind of hard to beat. Small diameter shell plate, not a lot of flexing, great repeatability. It's got great simplicity on its side. Quality on a budget. It's not as expensive as the XL-750 or the RL-1100. What it's not for, commercial or mass production reloading. But it's really up to what you're up to. Pros, quality, simplicity, versatility and standard features, precision, and economy. It works great for pistol and great for rifle. Cons, no auto indexing, and it's only got 4 stations. So if you want a powder check, if you want separate seating and crimping, if you want a combination of things, there are limitations there. Okay, on to the XL-750. The XL-750 is the replacement, the upgrade for the XL-650, which you've seen on the channel. I've got separate videos on both. I've got a video dedicated to comparing all of the differences side by side. One of the big differences was the old telephone dial priming system has been replaced by a sliding bar priming system. That probably addressed the biggest downside of the XL-650. The XL-750, like the 650, has 5 stations, auto indexing full progressive operation designed with a case feeder in mind. Comes with the drop tube portion of that, but the collator is sold separately. The 650 was introduced in 1991. The 750 was introduced in 2019. It's got 5 stations, max case length of 2.72 inches, max cartridge length of 3.68 inches. So it will do 30-06. Indexing is automatic. Die-cast aluminum alloy, much like the 550C here. 1.485-inch ram diameter, and it's got the sliding bar priming system with the low primer warning. Powder measure, just like the other presses, case activated with large and small bars. Holds 100 primers, holds 3/4 pound of powder, and the case feeder will hold 300 to 400 9mm cases. Die stations for pistol. Number 1, sizing and depriming. Number 2, priming and powder charge. Number 3, powder check. Number 4, bullet seating. Number 5, crimp. I don't have a powder check installed here. Dillon has a great powder check. There's even a hole in the tool head for the rod. It is great because it works. It will let you know if it's over or under. It will not beep if you have a proper powder charge. The only downside of it is while you're running the press up and down, it beeps every time, even if there's no case. So it's not case activated, but a good system. And you could put a different type of powder check, RCBS lockout die, double Alpha Academy magnetic powder check in that station if you felt like using that. I will also note that if you're using a bullet feeder and a powder check, you're going to want to combine the bullet seating and crimping. And there's a bunch of different ways that you can slice and dice the stations, but this is a fairly typical pistol loading setup. Total cost of ownership. 1 pistol caliber, bare bones, $939. 1 pistol caliber with case feed, $1277. So that adds the collator. The collator was redesigned, I'll note, and it is now smoother and quieter, and I believe it has more torque compared to the older model. So I like the new collator. It's awesome. 1 pistol caliber, 1 rifle caliber with case feed, 1770. 2 pistol calibers, 2 rifle calibers with case feed, 2180. Summary: what it's for: pistol or rifle reloading up to medium volume. This will handle what you're going to throw at it. What it's not for: budget reloading, because it does cost money, and commercial reloading. Pros: quality, 5 stations. Yes, it's a good minimum number in my book. Great case feed system. I should note on that the case feed system for Dillon, especially here on the 750 and actually on the 1050 or 1050/1100, has purpose-built plastic parts that come with the caliber conversion kits. So essentially there's really no adjustments that are necessary, and that makes it really quick to do the case feed portion. Other brands have a more extensive process for swapping over the case feed system, and that just adds time. So while the caliber conversion kits are a little bit more expensive, it's for a reason. Quick caliber changes, another pro. Cons: cost. It's a little more expensive than some of the more budget-oriented press. And for the XL-750, there is an interference between using a bullet feeder in that station and having the powder measure, the way it's angled. But Double Alpha Academy has a solution for that extra short bar, which I believe I have. Yes, I have that installed right here. And I have a separate video on that as well. So that is the 750. Let's move all the way up to Dillon's premium progressive reloading press, the RL-1100. The RL-1100 is the new upgraded press. It was originally the Super 1050, which was introduced in 1989. The RL-1100 was introduced in 2019. It has 8 stations with 1 for case insertion. Max case length of 2.02 inches, max cartridge length of 2.75 inches. Indexing is automatic. Frame construction is cast iron and steel. So this is a part of the premium package with the RL-1100 compared to the other presses. Ram diameter, 1.485 inches. Priming system, sliding bar with low primer warning. Powder measure is the same case activated system with large and small bars. Holds 100 primers, holds 3/4 pound of powder, and the case feeder holds 300 to 400 9mm cases. It's the same collator as would be included with the XL-750. Actually, I should say as an upgrade to the XL-750 since it's not in the baseline package. Die stations. Again, there's a lot that you could do here. A typical pistol setup would look like: number 1, case inserter; number 2, sizer deprimer; number 3, swager; number 4, priming; number 5, powder charge and expansion; number 6, powder check or bullet feed; number 7, bullet seating; and number 8, bullet crimping. If you want to use every station to its maximum capacity with both the bullet feed die and the powder check, you're going to combine your bullet seating and your crimping, which is what I have set up here. That machine is set up for 9mm. Total cost of ownership for the RL-1100: 1 pistol caliber bare bones, $22.99. 1 pistol caliber with case feed, same price, $22.99, because the RL-1100 includes the collator, the entire case feed system. 1 pistol caliber, 1 rifle caliber with case feed, $35.42. 2 pistol calibers, 2 rifle calibers with case feed, $43.75. Summary: what it's for: serious reloading, prosumer, commercial reloading. There's multiple auto drives. Dillon has got theirs that's coming out. Mark 7 makes one. There's old mechanical ones from, can't remember who, Posnus Warren or something like that. And so these machines are frequently, run into the millions of rounds, definitely. And so this is Dillon's high volume machine. What it's not for: casual reloading. Pros: 8 stations, reliability and smoothness, standard case feeder, commercial grade quality. The cons really are just cost and complexity. And that wraps up our Dillon showcase. So let's talk Frankford Arsenal. Now, disclaimer, this is a bit of a preview. Frankford Arsenal plans to introduce their first progressive press, which is the X10, which I've got right here, summer 2022. So this is something to look forward to. I've got a 99% close to production model right here, and I'm going to give you the specs as of May 2022. So there could be some very slight changes, and you're going to want to check out the full unboxing, overview, setup, and loading video and set of videos that we're going to be doing with the X10. So let's get into this X10, all of the features, all of the specs and details. So this is made by Frankford Arsenal. It is a 10-station auto-indexing progressive press. So the shell plate is going to rotate each time we actuate the handle. The SKU is 1178469. That's the official Frankford Arsenal SKU. Note that it is a 10-station press, and one of the stations is case insertion. So depending on the manufacturer, they're going to have a different convention, potentially whether or not they include case insertion as one of the stations. Max case length is 2.015 inches. Importantly, cartridge overall length max is 2.800 inches. And I know a lot of you have already guessed what that is about. It's about this press going up to 308 Winchester and related cartridges for cartridge overall length. So your 6.5 Creedmoor, your 243 Winchester, your 308 Winchester are all going to work on this press. Your 30-06 is not going to, because it's a longer cartridge overall length specification. We've got cast iron tool head. We've got cast iron frame construction. The ram diameter is 35 millimeters or 1.378 inches. The priming system on this machine is interesting. It is a rotary gear driven system. So there's 4 different positions where primers are picked up. It's continuous and it's on demand. Those are all features that you want. It's got a rotary drum powder measure. This has kind of become the standard on high-end progressives. They work really well. They're really accurate, and this one has a safety return rod, which is also awesome, and it also has an internal baffle, which you can't quite see when it's loaded with powder. In terms of capacities, we've got a standard 100 primer capacity. There is a low primer warning system. There are a bunch of advanced sensors and features here, which I will go into in depth when I do the unboxing and overview video with loading features and all sorts of great tech details. The case feeder holds about 5 pounds of brass. I know Frankford Arsenal is working through what that equates to for 9mm, whether it is at 5 pounds or slightly above or slightly below, but it's pretty typical for what you'd see on this type of a system. Okay, die stations. So the way that I have the press set up right now is going to be pretty typical. Let's talk about what each station is intended to be used for. So number 1, case insertion. Number 2 is going to be sizing and depriming. Station number 3 is kind of a backup depriming if you have drawback or anything like that. These 2 stations can both decap, and they both funnel down to the discharge hose, which is really cool. We've got swaging in station number 4. We've got priming in station number 5, case mouth expansion in 6, powder charge in 7, powder check in 8, bullet seat in 9, and bullet crimp in 10, the case mouth crimp. And I should note that between 8 and 9, we have a future expansion area for a bullet feed system that Frankford Arsenal is working on. So definitely full of features, definitely packed with great engineering. I've used this press for a while now, and I think it's going to be a real disruptor in the market for sure. So let's talk total cost of ownership. So for one pistol caliber, bare bones, you're talking $1199.99 MSRP. And again, these are May 2022 prices. Prices could change, so you're going to want to check the latest webpage details on that and my full article. Street price is going to be down around $1,000. $999.95 was the guess we had today. One pistol caliber with case feed, same prices as bare bones with case feed because the case feed system is included. One pistol caliber, one rifle caliber with case feed is going to be $1399.97 MSRP and $1199.93 approximate street price. Two pistol calibers, two rifle calibers with case feed is going to be $1499.96 MSRP and $1299.92 street price. You'll notice something. The price between the bare bones machine and the multi-caliber setups, it's not a big jump, and that's because this press comes with a lot of gear from the factory in its baseline configuration. It comes with pistol and rifle powder measure components. It comes with small and large primer systems. It comes with the pistol and the rifle case feed plate for the case feed system and other related parts. So once you make the initial investment, it's actually not that much money to add additional calibers, which is awesome. Okay, so in summary, who is it for? This is for high volume reloading on a medium budget. This press is packed with way more features than some of the other setups that you'll find for the same price. More capabilities, more features. What it's not for, this is not a commercial ammunition manufacturing machine. You're going to want to look at a commercial rated machine. They're a lot more expensive. They're meant to run millions and millions and millions of rounds per month or per year. And it's not for simple reloading either. There is a lot to this machine. So on the pros side, definitely features. This thing is absolutely packed with features, especially at the price. Versatility. With 10 stations, you can set this machine up as either a case prep machine or a reloading machine in almost an infinite number of different combinations. The engineering on this, if you buy one of these, you will notice there was a lot of attention to detail and a lot of proactively designed features from people that reload ammo on a regular basis, which is always awesome. And then finally, yes, the price. The price is low for what you're getting. Cons, complexity. If you're just starting reloading and you're intimidated by mechanical complexity, get a single stage or get a turret. You might want to start with something simpler. And then also setup time. With 10 stations and with swaging and with all the options that there are on this machine, it's going to take you a bit longer to set up. But given the complexity and given the features, I think the setup time is actually really, really good. So there you go. The X10 in a nutshell. Again, you're going to want to check out the additional resources that I'm going to be publishing when this model is available to the public. Let's talk budget reloading presses. That's right, I'm talking about Lee Precision. Lee Precision was started by Richard Lee and is now run by his son, John Lee. Fascinating company, definitely a focus on affordable reloading equipment in a couple different categories. Solid value and precision, which would be characteristic of the cast iron single stage press and the cast iron turret press, and then really just entry level pricing on products that can get the job done. The Progressive presses are a good example of that. Some really interesting innovations, including the factory crimp die, the first real broadly available carbide sizing die, and the collet sizer for rifle ammunition. And when it comes to the Lee Precision presses, there's 3 on the market. We've got the Pro 1000, we've got the Breech Lock Auto Pro, which in kit form is called the Pro 4000, and then we've got the Loadmaster. So let's start with the Pro 1000. This press has a special place in my heart because this is where my reloading journey started. I bought a Pro 1000 from Midway USA way back when. It cost $129, I think, total for 44 Magnum. I got my 44 Magnum, decided I really loved shooting it, but I didn't like paying, at the time, you're going to laugh at this, $20 for a box of 50 cartridges. That would be $60 probably now, I'm guessing. At the time, I just couldn't afford to shoot a couple boxes of that every week, but I thought if I got the reloading press, make up the cost of the reloading press in no time, have some fun doing it. I really, really enjoyed doing it. So let's talk about this press. This is a 3-station Progressive. That's right. It's the only one in the lineup, the only one that I know of in the world that has 3 stations. This is a bare minimum press. This is the lowest cost Progressive press that you're going to find on the market, and it even has a case feeder. It's pretty amazing. This is where we get into this marvel of low-cost engineering. Someone's comment about the Loadmaster I read early in my research into which Progressive I wanted to buy, upgrading from the Pro 1000 to another press. This is where the journey of Ultimate Reloader started, was my research. I looked at the Loadmaster, the XL-650. I looked at, I think, the Pro 2000 and the Hornady Lock-N-Load AP. Did way too much research, and then boom, I'm wanting to share all of this with you. So this press has been around since the 80s. I'm not sure exactly which year. You could consider 223 as kind of the maximum overall cartridge length and respective case length. These are sold in kit form with a particular cartridge that they are set up to load, and 223 is the longest of those. Indexing is automatic. It's got a cast aluminum frame, 0.814-inch RAM. The priming system I'm calling tray and track because the tray, it's a really good design, actually, I think, from a usability standpoint. You unfold the tray, you put your primers in, you shake it, they get oriented correctly, you fold it back over, you put it in, and then you hit on, and then they start flowing down the track. So it is super quick. The downside to any of these tray and track systems is if you have a primer get crushed and it detonates, it can basically go up the track and into the tray. So it's not the safest design, but it's very user-friendly and quick to use and convenient. And then the powder measure is the auto disc. The auto disc, if you buy it set up for pistol, you're going to want to look at the long charge die and probably the double disc kit to get enough powder charge capacity for rifle cartridges. There's a 100 primer capacity on this unit, half pound approximately of powder capacity in the hopper, and I counted, I think this case feeder will hold about 72 9mm cases. There's a collator bowl that you can buy to put on top and shake it and pour more in, and they do a pretty good job of going down there correct side up, and then when each tube is depleted, you rotate. And you're going to see that's available on the Loadmaster. It's available as a part of the Pro 4000 kit as well. Die stations, number 1, sizing and depriming. Number 2, powder and expansion combined. Number 3, seating and crimping. For pistol, this is pretty much the only setup that you're going to want to run, and this was why I ultimately decided to upgrade from the Pro 1000 to a 5-station press. I wanted separate seating and crimping, and I also found that I had to adjust the machine frequently. Total cost of ownership, 1 pistol caliber bare bones, MSRP $340, street price $220.89. These are Mid-South prices. Now I'll note that it comes set up for 1 pistol caliber, so the 1 pistol caliber with case feed is actually the same price because the case feeder is also included. 1 pistol caliber, 1 rifle caliber with case feed, $483.94 MSRP, $326.46 street price. 2 pistol calibers, 2 rifle calibers with case feed, $673.90 MSRP. You can get complete lower end units that you can drop in, but I would say at the pricing that these presses are at, if you like the Pro 1000 and you want to load multiple calibers, buy multiple presses. That's simply the best solution. And I've seen a lot of people online do that. Summary, what it's for one thing, budget-driven reloading. What it's not for, high volume reloading, precision reloading, caliber changes, that kind of thing. So the pros are the price, it includes case feed, it includes quality dies. Lee makes really good dies, especially at the price point that they're offered at. Cons, limited die stations, obviously. Requires timing adjustments. I had to do that all the time on my original unit. I have not run this newer one enough to know. It's lightweight, it's got plastic parts, it's a budget machine. When you buy the most budget-minded machine on the market at the lowest price point, they have to do things to get to that lowest price point. The machine is not super robust, but I found that it did get the job done for 44 Magnum back in the day. Okay, stepping up to the Breech Lock Auto Pro, which again in kit form is called the Pro 4000. The SKU is 9900. It was introduced in 2018. It was originally introduced as the Breech Lock Auto Pro, and Lee later offered it in the kit form as the Pro 4000. Max case length is 2.5 inches. Max cartridge length is 2.3 inches. You can do that with auto index, and then you can actually do 30-06 with manual index. If you take the rod out, you can go to manually indexing mode, which makes it mimic the RL-550 series of presses, as noted on the Lee website. Indexing is either auto or manual, per whether you have that rod in place or not. Cast aluminum frame, 0.814-inch diameter ram, same as the Pro 1000. The priming system is the safety prime, and that is included in the Pro 4000 kit. It's got the little arm that swings. Not my favorite design because I could never get it to work super reliably. It's very much a finesse thing. Once you get the finesse down, pressing the little plastic tab, you can get it to work, but it's not an optimal setup. The powder measure on the kit I see listed currently is the Auto Drum. The Auto Drum works pretty well overall. Holds 100 primers in that safety prime if you've got it equipped as such, half pound of powder, and the case feeder, again, I'm guessing approximately 72 9mm cases for 4 tubes. Die stations, so this is a typical pistol setup. I'm always going here with the pistol setups because they typically use the most stations. 1, size D prime. 2, powder charge and expansion combined. 3, seat, and 4, crimp. So unlike the Pro 1000, you can separate your seating and crimping. Unlike the Pro 1000, we don't have a sort of fully automatic priming system, so pros and cons. And total cost of ownership. What I've done here is for the bare bones setup, I basically used the Breech Lock Auto Pro, and then for the other setups that you see here with the Star, I'm using the Pro 4000 kit because that's the more cost-effective method, is to bundle it all together. So 1 pistol caliber, bare bones, $332 MSRP, $233.38 street price, again for Mid-South. 1 pistol caliber with case feed, $345 and $223.89 street price. 1 pistol caliber, 1 rifle caliber with case feed, $503.96 MSRP and $339.88 street price. 2 pistol calibers, 2 rifle calibers with case feed, $759.96 MSRP and $526.56 street price. So in summary, what it's for both budget reloading, but also flexibility. With 4 stations, with these Breech Lock bushings, they act kind of like the Hornady Lock-N-Load bushings. You have to rotate them a little bit further. The system is not quite as good from what I can tell, but it functions pretty similarly, and it comes with these integral lock rings, which is kind of nice. What it's not for: precision reloading or high volume reloading. Like all of these Lee Progressive presses, the machine is just not built as robustly as some of the higher dollar units, as you would expect. So pros: price, flexibility, and the breech lock convenience. Cons: the semi-auto priming drives me nuts. It's lightweight and budget construction. Okay, now we step up to the Lee Loadmaster. This is perhaps one of the most controversial presses on the market. It is low cost. In its first iteration, it was prone to problems. It is called a 5-station press, but is not really a 5-station press, and it has sort of a religious cult following amongst budget, high-volume reloaders. It's the Loadmaster, that's right. And it has some pretty cool features, really. One that I'll note is the toolless shell holder change. There's a knurled knob here. You loosen the knob, little ejector plate comes off. You take off the shell plate, and then you can take the whole priming system, pop it out, and pop in another one to go from large and small, vice versa. So caliber changes are really quick with it. It's got some really slick features. When it's running good, it's surprisingly capable, actually. But it's listed as a 5-station press, and yet the recommendation is to decap in station number 1 and then put a sizer without a decapper in station number 2 so that the shell casing is perfectly centered over the priming station so that you don't have primer misalignment, crushed primers, sideways primers, upside down primers, whatever that happens to be. So in effect, it's kind of like a 4-station reloading press. And even as a 4-station reloading press, if you're combining your powder charge and your case mouth expansion, you've still got enough stations to do a good pistol setup. Max case length is 223, max cartridge length is 223. That's in factory form, the kits that they sell. There is a company that does an aftermarket 308 kit. Lee doesn't offer a 308 case feed system, which is what they indicated, and they have a workaround for that, so kind of interesting. Indexing is auto or manual, depending on if you have the indexing pawl in there under the shell plate. Frame construction is cast aluminum. Ram diameter is 1.771 inches. I took a quick measurement. That's pretty big. Priming system is the tray and track that you see here on the Pro 1000. And the powder measure is the auto disc. And as I mentioned previously, if you have a pistol setup, you want to add rifle, you need the long rifle charge die, you're going to want to add the double disc kit or maybe go to an auto drum, something like that. Has a 100 primer capacity, has a half-pound powder capacity, and again, the case feeder would hold approximately 72 9mm cases for the 4 tubes. I don't have it currently installed here. Die stations: number 1, decap. Number 2, size and align, as I mentioned, no decapper. 3, powder charge and expand. 4, seat, and 5, crimp. That would be a typical pistol setup, and you can riff on that. I have done bullet feed and combined seating and crimping in station number 5. Lots of different ways to configure this machine. Total cost of ownership: MSRP on the Loadmaster is $480. Street price, again at Mid-South, $312.89. One pistol caliber with case feed, well, it comes with the case feed, so again, $480 and $312.89. One pistol caliber, one rifle caliber with case feed, $637.90. Street price is $428.68. 2 pistol calibers, 2 rifle calibers with case feed, this is what those parts that I mentioned that you're going to need, is $841.82 MSRP and $578.40 street price. The Loadmaster does not come with large and small priming setups. That's a part of that dual setup. So, the summary. Who is it for? Budget-minded reloaders. People that like to fiddle to get something to run exactly right, and if you want speed. This thing can definitely crank ammo at high speed if it's happy. What it's not for: precision reloading or mega high volume reloading. And again, people do high volume reloading depending on your definitions, so that's a subjective remark right there. Pros: cost, speed, and quick caliber changes. Cons: station number 2 is taken up for alignment. Primer explosion risk with some primers. Lee sold an explosion shield and has a disclaimer around certain types of primers being used. And so softer primers potentially, again, if you have one detonate at the priming station, whoosh, can go right up the track into the tray, kaboom. Not something that you want. Another con, materials, the use of plastic. I'm not sure the alloy, but probably not up to the level of the more expensive machines. And again, the need for adjustments and tweaks. When this thing is running, it's fast and it's awesome. When it's not running, it can kind of drive you nuts. So that's it for Lee Precision. So we've gone through each of the brands and each of the presses respectively. Let's wrap it all up with some high-level analysis and thoughts. So in terms of total cost of ownership, you're going to want to refer to each of those charts. And I'm going to go through 3 different graphs here comparing the total cost of ownership so that you can see it visually. And so here's the first one. One pistol cartridge with case feed. I did not include the Square Deal B in this because it doesn't have rifle cartridges available. It's pistol only. So it wouldn't really be fair. You're going to have to look at that kind of on its own for total cost of ownership. So without the Square Deal B, we see a pattern here. We've got some really short bars here. The Pro 1000, the Pro 4000 and Breech Lock Auto Pro, and the Loadmaster are the low-cost leaders here. You've got 220.89, 223.89, and 312.89. Lee is all about economy when it comes to Progressive presses. Then you have kind of this middle price category, right? We've got $998 to $1,300. The Pro Chucker 5, the Lock-N-Load AP, the X10, the RL-550C, the XL-750, and the Pro Chucker 7. And then we have the fully featured presses, the RL-1100 and the Apex 10 are up there in that higher cost band. Okay, if we move to one pistol plus one rifle, we're seeing a similar pattern here. Lee down on the low end, we've got a bunch of presses in the middle, RL-1100 and Apex 10 on the upper end. And then for two pistol, two rifle, again, it's the same exact pattern. What's interesting is as you work your way up through these different configurations, adding more calibers and adding pistol and rifle, in that middle category, it's like racehorses trading places. So I created this kind of roll-up graph. What is consistent here is shown in gray. It's that Lee is going to be the cheapest. RL-1100 and Apex 10 are the most costly, which makes sense. They're the most fully featured. They're both made in the US and so on and so forth. But as we go from one pistol to one pistol, one rifle, and two pistol and two rifle, we can see here, for instance, the Pro Chucker 5 is at the bottom, and then the Lock-N-Load AP is at the bottom of that middle segment when we go all the way up to the maximum number of configurations in this roundup. And I think that has to do with the relative pricing between the press itself and all of the caliber conversion parts. If you're using a Lock-N-Load AP without a case feed system, you've got bushings that are affordable and shell plates that are affordable. And it's also interesting that the X10 holds down that number 6 spot all the way through, which based on the features is really, really impressive. In spot rank number 8, we have the XL-750 down at the base config, and then the RL-550C with the one pistol, one rifle, and the XL-750 again for two pistol plus two rifle. Very, very interesting comparison. So it's really in that middle band where you're going to have to really think more critically around costs. You're going to have to think about the pros and cons of the different caliber change situations and that sort of thing. So press mounts and lighting. You might notice there's quite a few inline fabrication mounts here. I use the Ultra mount with the quick change top plates. There's two wing nuts. You spin those off and you can pull the press right off of the base. You could put a bench vise. You could put a barrel vise on there, pretty much anything you want to. So it's a great system, and there's multiple heights. You can see the micro, the medium, and the tall here. And so if you go to inlinefabrication.com, you'll find more information about that. Dan down there does a really good job supporting just about every press on the market. Also, press lighting, a lot of options for the presses shown in this video, by KMS Squared. They're UFO press lights. It's a USA company, available for quite a few of the presses. There's switches and dimmers available. UR10 code will save you 10%, kmssquared.com. Okay, so in conclusion, first you're going to want to check out the article. You're going to want to read through that if you want to do more in-depth analysis, but ultimately you have to ask yourself some questions. Questions are things like, what type of reloading am I doing? Is it around volume? Is it around precision? And then economy, requirements around precision and quantity. So how many rounds per month are you going to load? How many different cartridges are you going to buy parts for? And what kind of precision are you looking for? If you want to load precision rifle cartridges, for instance, this RL-550C is a great choice because it delivers great consistency. It does not have a large diameter shell plate. It doesn't rock all around. And there's other options here as well. I've gotten great consistent ammunition off of the Pro Checker 7, for instance. What is your mechanical aptitude? If you want a press that's just going to work, you're going to probably want to spend a little bit more money. If you like to tinker and you're on a low budget, some of the Lee equipment would fall into that category where it's going to get the job done, at the budget that you have. How much money you have to spend and how much available space you have as well. Some of these presses are more compact. The RL-550C is a good example in its minimal form. It doesn't take up a whole lot of space. And then are you going to have a single stage next to it or a turret next to it? Or do you want to have two presses, one set up for small primers and one set up for large primers? Hopefully these total cost of ownership calculators can help you figure out what those costs are. Time available to reload is another thing. So progressive presses are all going to crank out ammo pretty quickly. But if you go all the way up to an Apex 10 with an auto drive, you can get up to 3,500 rounds per hour. So there is a whole spectrum there. And then support and resale. Dillon presses, for instance, are going to have good resale and really good support. They're no BS guarantee. Most of the companies represented here do a really good job with their warranties and their customer support. But imported presses are going to have lower resale, for instance. It's a decision that you have to make. So this has been a monumental effort. At the end of the day, I want to thank you all for supporting me over the years. It's been a huge effort. It's been thousands and thousands of hours, probably hundreds and hundreds of videos total, if we total up all the progressive content. And at the end of the day, I'm not done yet, right? We're going to keep at this, and when new presses come out, when new accessories come out, stuff from Double Alpha Academy, for instance, we're going to be covering that. And I would love to hear your feedback. If you're like me, you take this, product research really seriously. When I buy a new camera system or new gear, new tools, anything, what's on your mind as you go through this process of figuring out what equipment you're going to buy for reloading? Drop a comment and we'll start a discussion. Thank you for watching. That concludes this video, and that means it's time to wrap it up. I hope you liked this video. If you did, please give it a big thumbs up. Also, make your voice heard. If you have something to say, please drop a comment. Make sure you're subscribed with notifications because you're not going to want to miss the awesome content that is coming up. And finally, flex your reloading pride. You could look great in one of these t-shirts. We've got multiple designs at the Ultimate Reloader store. I'll see you later because I'm off to go shooting.